Sorry, just bear with me. Brilliant. So we're live streaming. So Ela Moyle has been an EFL, an ESOL teacher and a CELTA trainer for more than 15 years, teaching adults and young adults in the UK. Her background is in linguistics, and she used to work as a lecturer in linguistics and contemporary Polish at the University of Warsaw. As an English teacher and a teacher trainer, she's interested in different ways of developing learners' independence and in teaching methods that lead to effective learning. Effectiveness and discovery are the main qualities she looks for in teaching, teacher training, as well as in learning. So we're very lucky and happy to have Ela with us. Ela, over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Ela Moyle, but some people may know me under my full name, Elżbieta Grabska-Moyle. I decided to use Ela Moyle because it's quicker to say and easier to remember. Today, I'd like to share with you a result of my early experiences when I started as an EFL and ESOL teacher. Once I was going to be observed, you know how it works. Director of studies is coming, and you work your socks off to plan, to prepare everything, and it was what I did. This group, the students, they were lovely. They loved me, I loved them. They were willing, but the lesson was a disaster. The observer was sympathetic, said, oh, materials were good, but nothing else. And there were other sessions where I thought, oh, it went so well. And at the end, I asked students how they felt, and they were saying, oh, it was nice, but I didn't know what to do. So I had to eat my humble pie and admit the lesson was great, but only in my eyes. And it took me to this thinking, observing myself, working with other teachers to find the way to be effective and efficient. Then I started being a teacher trainer and started sharing my my reflections. And this is what I want to do today. This is how I came up with 5 steps, my 5 steps. So let's have a look at these 5 steps.
So at the moment, Ela, what we're looking at is you can see your notes as well at the bottom.
I see. So let me try again. Oh, I can see.
Yeah.
What about now? Oh,
perfect.
Oh,
yep.
Excellent.
Yeah.
At the end, unfortunately. So let's go quickly. You can hear my clicking.
No.
Probably no.
No, can't hear you clicking.
I'm going back because for some reason we are at the end.
Okay.
But we still have 40 minutes, so.
There we go.
We are at the beginning now. So setting up activities and tasks efficiently in 5 steps. What's the plan for today? We'll be talking about activities and tasks, about efficiency, and obviously about 5 steps. And as you can see, it's not 1, 2, 3. It's these 3 topics and arrows between them, because we'll be going back and forward and looking what's efficient in activities, which 5 steps, but these 3 topics are the main. So let's start. Activities and tasks. What is the difference? We are using this either activities or tasks. So let's have a look at 2. Are they the same? Are they different? What's the difference here? So they are sort of the same because they are about houses, but students have to do different things, so they are different. I'd like to look at these 2 activities or 2 tasks from a different point of view. I'd like to look at them at and think how the teacher and students are engaged in shaping and answering this task or activity. Who is in control? Let's answer 3 questions. First question is, who decides what students say or write in this activity? The second, who chooses what language or information students use? And the third one, who knows the answers? So the first question, who decides? In A, obviously the teacher, because the teacher gave 3 houses, set of words, do something with them. Who chooses the language? Obviously the teacher, because it was the teacher who gave the set of words. And who knows the answers? Obviously the teacher, because the answer key is already prepared. So the teacher is in control. B, who decides what to say? The student this time. Who chooses the language and what to say about this dream house? The students or students in general in this case. Who knows the answers? The teacher? No. The teacher doesn't know what students are going to say. The students, they know the answers. When you look at these 2 activities and compare them, you can see the fundamental difference between these 2 activities. One is when the teacher decides about everything and is in control, and the other one is when students decides what to say, how to say it, and what kind of answer I'm going to give. And I would say that it's a continuum between this how teachers and students are engaged. In our case, the exercise A is at the one end. This is the teacher who is in charge, and B is on the other end, at the other side. So when we think from this point of view, who is in control, who is in charge about activities and tasks, we can say, just for the sake of our conversation, when teacher decides it's an activity, teacher is in control, a teacher knows everything. When students have this power of saying things they want to say, it's the task. Okay, so let's start with 5 steps. Do you have your 5 steps? Can you think about your own steps when you're setting up an activity? Think about it. next lesson or last lesson? How did you do it? How many steps? So look at my steps now. The first one, obvious, give instruction. Number 2, check instruction. Number 3, give handouts. Number 4, students on task. Number 5, give feedback. So your steps, your way of setting up an activity, is it the same or different? Can you let me know? Can you put in the chat S if it's the same or nearly the same, or D if it's different? Quickly, S or D in the chat. A lot of S's. D, S's, same, oh, some D's. Okay, thank you. So a lot of S's. Some people do it differently. If you, during today's conversation, today's webinar, maybe you will be able to add some elements to your steps, and people who have different way of setting up activities than my 5 steps, maybe you can change something. So in both cases, it will be hopefully more efficient. So 5 steps. Now find techniques where giving handouts is involved. You are looking at the list from a methodology book. Okay. Do you need to find what to do first when setting up an activity while reading this? And again, in the chat, please say yes if it's what you need to do, I ask you, or no if it's something else, or if you are not sure, question mark. A lot of yeses, some question marks. Yeses, question marks. Yeah. I think there was only 1 or 2 no's, but yeses and question marks. Actually, my instruction, the answer to this question is no, because my instruction was completely different. I asked you to find in this short extract something about giving handouts. And you didn't hear, remember, understand my instruction. Why? Because you were reading the handout. You didn't listen to me. And then when I asked the question to check my instruction, I asked you about something else, expecting that you would say, no, we have to do something else. You said yes, because it was quite probable that we will be looking at finding out what to do first when setting up an instruction. So giving handouts, we'll start with this step number 3. Giving handouts is very important when we will do it. And in the pre-webinar task, thank you very much for answering the questions in this task. I gave you 2 instructions, 2 scenarios. The difference between them is in the first one, handout first, then instruction. So this is what I did, and it didn't work with for us and during our small rehearsal. And the second is instruction first and handout second. What was your decision? Here we are. So you know, 2/3 of you, people who responded, decided it should be instruction first, handout second. The third part decided that handout first, instruction second. However, after our small experiment, you can see that this is the order: give instruction, check instruction, and step number 3, give handouts. So this is the efficient order. Let's have a look at the first step, giving instruction. In the pre-webinar task, I asked you to have a look why it's difficult to set up an activity. And I gave you some answers. Have a look. Sometimes it's difficult to set up an activity. And you have here a list of different answers. One of them, I hope now you can see that it's a very important thing. Students don't listen to the teacher. This is what happened to us. Why? Now we know, because they're reading a handout or looking at the handout. So let's have a look through these answers where the instruction is mentioned. I think in 4 answers. So obviously the instruction is complicated. So this is why it's difficult to set up an activity or a task. Or maybe the activity is too complicated. So if activity is complicated, very often instruction is complicated as well. Another answer related to instruction is students don't understand what to do. And the last one related to the instruction is students don't remember what to do. So your choices now. This is how you answered, and I can see that what I've just mentioned. So the instruction is complicated. 67 people, so 54% decided this is the factor. This is why it's difficult to set up an activity or a task. Another one, students don't understand. The third one, activity is too complicated, still nearly half, 46%. And the last one I mentioned, students don't remember what to do, only 20%. So you think it's not so important. We'll have a look at it in a moment. Giving instructions. In the pre-webinar task, I gave you an example of 3 instructions. There was A, the blue one, B, and C. Very similar, but not the same, obviously. So let's have a look. Let's analyze these instructions. Which one is the a good one or the best one? Let's check how many steps these instructions have. A, so it's open and complete, 2 steps. B, open, complete, compare, answer, and check with the teacher. So 4 steps. And C, open, complete, and the 3rd step is quite interesting because it's not really an instruction for a student. It's the teacher who is telling students what she will do next. So in terms of the instruction, it's quite sophisticated, I would say, or because it's there are 2 layers. So the teacher is saying, I will do, I'll tell you what to do next. So the student have to unpack this. So the teacher will tell me what to do next. So I will have to listen. I will have to do something else. So as you can see, it looks quite nice. I'll tell you what to do next. However, there is quite a lot of decoding, thinking, and when students have to think about it in the 2nd language, 3rd language, their foreign language, it may be quite difficult. So 3 steps here. So which instruction? This one is easy to follow, easy to remember, only 2 steps. This one is not so easy. There are 3 steps, and we are very close to the limit of our working memory. If you may remember, you may know, it's on average 7 words students, and we can remember when we see or hear them. With instructions, there are more than 7 words, there are actions. So when we have 3 steps, so 3 actions to remember, it becomes quite difficult. And the 3rd instruction is complex, difficult to remember, and difficult to follow. So let's have a look at your choices, because I ask you to choose the most effective instruction. Here we are. So the easiest instruction, only nearly 9% of respondents of you decided that this is the most effective instruction. And now you can see it's the easiest. So 91% chose the not so easy to follow and complex, so difficult to follow instruction for their lesson. There is a little bit of a contradiction between our answers or your answers, but I can say our answers because we are in the same boat as teachers. So we know here what's difficult when we are setting up an activity. But when it comes to practicing, to do it in practice, we are giving students instructions which are complicated. And we are giving students instructions they can't, or it's difficult to remember. So look, students don't remember what to do. Only 20% chose this. And the easiest instruction, which would be easy to remember for students, only 9% of respondents chose this instruction. So I think it's good to realize that in theory we know, but in practice, when it comes to giving instructions, we are not so good. 48% not so easy to follow, and 43% difficult to follow. So giving instructions efficiently, what we need to remember about. Check how many steps students are given to follow. And obviously remember about working memory limitations. More steps are difficult to remember. Another thing, adjust textbook instructions to your lesson, to the level of your students, to their working routines, to their needs. So break down textbook instructions into smaller steps. Very important thing, plan your instructions beforehand, not in front of the class, not when you are standing and teaching, but have it prepared before the lesson. It will help you to avoid unnecessary comments, these small things which are so difficult to avoid, but we are saying them. And finally, train yourself. It will help. It will help you to give efficient instructions when you rehearse them before the lesson. So now, step number 2, give handouts. Let's have a look. Oh, sorry, not step number 2. It's not give handouts, it's check instructions. So let's have a look at 3 instructions we've just analyzed, and think about, let's think how we can check understanding. So first, 2 standard questions. Do you understand? Yes, yes, we do. And students are smiling and saying, oh, yes, we do understand what our teacher is saying. Or, do you know what to do? Oh, yes, yes, I'm a good student, so I know what to do. But do we really check with these 2 questions our instructions? Or students are telling us just how they feel, what they believe. They believe that they understand. Or do you know what to do? Yes, I know, because I want to be a good student. I am a good student, so I know what to do. And I want to make my teacher happy because I like my teacher. So I'll say, if the teacher wants me to know what to do, yes, I know what to do. So in terms of checking instructions, no, these 2 questions are not efficient, are not good to check. Let's have a look at this one. What do you need to do? So students are repeating, open the book and complete activity 2. So it's a lot better because students are involved, engaged in remembering the instructions. So I would give I would give a tick to this question. What about these two questions? Do you open your book on page 57 or 59? 59. Do you do all activities on page 59? All activities. Oh, no, it's only activity 2. In this case, students have to think, have to choose 57 or 59. Everything or only activity 2. So they are making decision about information they've just heard. And because of that, I would give 3 ticks to these 2 questions. And you are doing the same, because in the pre-webinar task, when I asked you what is the best way to make sure that students understand an instruction, you said, more than half of you said, ask 2 or 3 questions about things mentioned in the instruction. So I understand you didn't think about, do you understand what to do? Because it's not about things mentioned in the instruction. Definitely, this is a good way to check understanding. Ask students to repeat the instruction. More than 20 people decide that it's a good way. So as I said, not bad, recalling, repeating, so students are engaged. And then 2 ways: repeat an instruction once more, or ask students if they understand. So are we checking? No. We are not checking. So definitely ask 2, 3 questions, or ask students to recall information, but don't ask, do you understand? Because it's not effective. You are not checking understanding. So to sum up, questions to check understanding and possible answers. We looked at these ones. What do you need to do? A and B. So open the book and complete the activity. So recalling. Or this way. Is it A? Yes or no? Is it A or B? Oh, A. Or B. So this is a choice. Students have to engage fully with the instruction and make a decision. So finally, it's not effective. The questions which ask students just to confirm their understanding, these questions are not effective, because it's about what students think, believe about their understanding. Questions when we ask to recall, repeat some information, they are less effective, but obviously more than this, do you understand? Questions when students have to make their choice to answer, to analyze the information they got in the instruction, they are more, or I would say even most effective. Our errors, so between us, really, between us teachers, what are our errors when we're asking questions to check understanding? Everybody does it. Everybody does it, answering own questions. These low-level questions, recalling details, or asking irrelevant questions. Do you need to write, or do you need to read? And students need to speak. So why are we asking about reading and writing? The same students, relying on answers of the same students. And this is a dangerous thing. Remember my story at the beginning. I believed that it was so good, but students said, oh, I didn't understand. This is creating a false picture of understanding for yourselves, ourselves, and for students as well. So now, how to avoid this, we know what questions to ask. And checking understanding, why do we need to check understanding? I have 12 reasons here. Can you think about more reasons? Have a look at mine and think if you can think about more. If you have more, please put them in the chat. So the first one is obviously to check understanding. Then, very important, to activate thinking. And with this, it's for students to start owning the task or activity, because when they decide about this activity, so this is mine, I want to answer, I want to do it. Then management, attention, students are involved. Another 2 reasons, they are like byproducts. So we are teaching classroom language at the same time, and students are practicing listening at the same time. To create working routines, if it's happening every time, so students know that before I start doing anything, I have to understand the instruction. Avoid repeating ourselves and stop this situation. Oh, miss, what's this? And students are asking, and we are wasting time really answering these questions. And finally, we are in control of the lesson, of the flow of the lesson, and the teacher and students can work efficiently and can enjoy it because everything goes smoothly. So these ones are 12 reasons why checking instructions. If you can think about more reasons, please put them in the chat and please share. So finally, students on task. Step number 4. Students are working what teachers can do. All these things, look. They can monitor to do something. So not just monitor and going around the classroom and patrolling students, looking from there behind, but monitor to do something, to encourage or to notice some mistakes. Or teachers can think when students are working. Or, very important thing, teachers can let students work without being disturbed. Just let them do it. Step number 5, give feedback. At the beginning, we started with an activity and a task, if you may remember. It was the first one was an activity, the second one was the task. The reason for this was the teacher is in control or the student is in control. So now, how to give feedback to an activity, to the first one. Giving feedback is confirming correct answers, because there is no choice students can make. Everything has been decided by the teacher, so the teacher confirm correct answers. And obviously, the teacher can give feedback on students' performance, like the quality of their work, teamwork, the speed, the pace, and similar things. All this well done. When we are giving feedback after a task, first, the teacher has to get feedback from students. because the students are in control. So students did something. So the teacher has to find out. So it's getting feedback. Then giving students feedback on, number one, the content of the task. What was interesting, new, exciting, what students said or wrote. Then on their performance, and depending on what we want to achieve in this task, in the lesson, we can include language and skills. You've done very well discussing this. You took turns, very well done. And finally, feedback on any language or language skills students used correctly or incorrectly, something what we call delayed error correction. So when it's an activity, we give feedback. When it's a task, we always get and give feedback. This is how we do it efficiently. Obviously, when it's an activity, we can get feedback as well. We can ask students what they said, what they wrote, even though it's just about correctness. But if we have time, we can do it. If not, just confirming correct and incorrect answers. And what was your choice? I ask you, do students need feedback after each activity? So big yes, always. Only 9.5% of respondents said no. And I can resonate with this no after shouting yes, because this no, it can mean delayed feedback. It can mean that we're doing set of activities and some activities or tasks which are broken, which is a big task broken down into smaller bits, and at the end we are giving feedback to all steps. So it will be a delayed feedback, and obviously feedback to each activity, to each task students did. The final note now. There it is, a fiver, £5. When we do, when we teach, it's our job, we earn money. When we teach well, our students will be better off in their life at some point, somewhere. They may earn more money. So when we teach and students learn, when we use these 5 steps as a package, not just one, giving instruction and then not checking because instruction is easy. Not just the last one, giving feedback and ignoring the rest, but if we follow these 5 steps, the fivers will come to us and our students. Thank you very much for listening. Do we have time for questions?
We do, Ella. Thank you ever so much for that. That was really interesting. Thank you. I felt like I was, I don't know, sort of felt like I was back at college or something. That's really, that's great. What I really liked as well, how you when you started and you said that you'd done this lesson that you thought was great, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, hang on, no, maybe. And I think probably most of us have that kind of memory. I certainly do, of coming out of an observed lesson thinking, oh yeah, that went really well, and then being pulled apart in the feedback session with my tutor.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. But I mean, fantastic. And yeah, thank you for that. Really, really interesting and hugely useful, I think, as well. So we do have some questions already. If you do have any questions for Ella, then please do add them into the chat. We've got time, we've got about 10 minutes, I think, so that should be fine. Let's have a look. So
the first one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, can we demonstrate an example answer after giving and checking the instruction with the student? This is a very interesting and very important thing. I would say absolutely yes. Can we demonstrate an example answer? It's the way of checking instruction. Obviously, we haven't done all techniques we can use and in the when we are teaching. So demonstrating example answer is give instruction, demonstrate, and then if you feel that you need to check this instruction still, then you can check, I would say. Then from Gary Motter, what is the evidence for the ideal length for giving instruction? Oh, what a question. Won't this also depend on the level of their language, or if you use local languages? What a question. What's the ideal length? I wish I could answer this question. It's very difficult to say what's the ideal length. The only thing I could say is the how many steps in your instruction. From experience, I would say 2 steps is ideal, but sometimes 3 steps is possible, but you have to check, do they remember all 3? And yeah, absolutely, it depends.
Ella, do you want to stop sharing your slides, and then
oh yeah, yeah,
kind of see you? It's just a bit nicer.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there's another question from Gary, I think. Okay, so if we include instructions on a handout, maybe this can become an initial reading task or a kind of warmer. How do you feel about that?
Yes, but I would like to share my personal way of doing it. If I can, I don't put any instructions in writing, because it means if I have to put them in writing, it means they are too complicated as instructions. So it's the first thing. The second thing, students are not involved, so not engaged. They are not taking these instructions when they are written on the screen or on the handout as their own. It's still the teacher who is giving this instruction. So my way is to give instruction orally when possible, obviously, not always. Some tasks need to have written instructions. And if warmer, do something maybe more interesting, but obviously it's our choice.
Okay, Asma asks, how much time should I give? Is sort of kind of, yeah, I mean, similar to Gary's question about evidence for ideal length for giving instructions. I mean, here she's sort of talking about giving and checking and understanding, sort of similar, maybe the same question that you answered. So we can.
I would add here, Paul, if I may, one word from today's title: efficient. You have to decide to be efficient. So focus on the result achieved in the smallest period or quickest period of time. And what is the smallest period of time? It depends on your students. Now, some may need 5 minutes and some may need 45 seconds.
Okay. Okay, it's interesting one about L2 or L1. Maybe L1, Ahmed, do you mean L1 or L2? Ahmed says, in an EFL setting, can the teacher use L2 and how? Do you mean L1, Ahmed, maybe? What are your kind of thoughts on that, Ella, with use of L1 and?
It's again very interesting question. Thinking about our today's topic, it can be easier to give instruction when you have a monolingual class in the L1, the first language. Language students can understand. However, when it's in the first language, look what students have to do. They have to go from their understanding in their language to English. So they have to do this jumping, this thinking, and they have to spend time, and their capacity of this, thinking during the lesson. So I would suggest, or I would do, I would use English L2 always, and if it's too difficult, it means the instruction is too difficult. Make it simpler.
Good advice. Yes. Okay. No. I think I would agree with that. Okay. I think you can see the other questions there. I don't know if there's any that jump out at you that you would like to answer. Just having a look. Specific sentences. How can we give webinar? How can we give feedback to a team?
Give feedback to the team. I'm not sure if I because it will be feedback given to a team, just to a team, and saying, you as a team, you did this very well, this very well. So it wouldn't be many differences, I suppose.
Okay. And also there's one about engaging. Sorry, this isn't in the Q&A, it's in the chat. I've just seen it about engaging with adult learners. I mean, I'm guessing are there differences? Are you kind of, with your experience of kind of working with adult English language learners, is that sort of, does that change things, do you think, in terms of the instructions?
With adults, yes, because adults they don't like feedback, especially when it's critical, when we say, oh, actually you should have said this or this or that. So it does make a difference. When we work with children or teenagers, they are well trained at school. They know, they are told what to do. So they are just taking on our feedback without anything. But adult learners, sometimes they are pulling faces, and we can see it didn't go well. So it's very important to think, to have this working routine. So to have the instruction clear and give feedback to this clear instruction, small. So there will be something positive we can give, and giving feedback. It's good to remember, give feedback and tell what to do next, how to, so this feed forward. We're going further now. Very interesting questions.
Okay. So I can answer this question. Lorena, you're asking, is this material available for us somewhere? So yeah, we do have a handout. I think Melissa and Joe have been putting links into the chat with a link to the handout from this session, but we will be emailing you, so you will get an email a bit later today. So anyone who's kind of asking about links to certificates or handouts, don't worry, you will get an email a bit later today with all of that information. So yeah, don't worry. Raras, yes, I think I'm right, Ella, in answering this. Just to confirm, it's advisable not to show written instruction as we're giving the instruction verbally. That's your kind of, your
again,
advice.
Yeah, going back to what we were talking, and this is my personal stance on it. If I give an instruction orally, I make sure that this instruction is understood and the task is taken on. So it's not only the instruction, but students are ready to read something, to find the information or whatever. So then there is no need to give another sentence, another piece of reading, because it's another few seconds from your lesson. So this is this efficiency. When students understand, they are ready to go. So let them go.
Okay. Here's a question for you, actually, Ella. This is something that interests me. It's in relation to these webinars. So every webinar, we have people and they come in, and at the end we give, tell me about my instructions, because I'm not sure if my instructions are good. So basically at the beginning and then during the webinar, we say, you'll get a certificate, we'll send you the links, we'll email you. And yet there's always comments in the chat saying, how do I get the certificate? So what am I doing wrong here, Ella? How can I improve my instruction giving so that people don't then ask in the chat, how do I get a certificate, when I've given instructions already? It's just a personal kind of development thing.
There are actually two things you mentioned, because this is about instructions. So I can tell you why, because you gave the instruction and you showed the handout first. So people were looking at what they were reading. You were talking. I hope you don't mind.
No, I want this. No, this is great.
It's but I think it works like this.
Okay.
Students are people are reading. You are giving an instruction, but it's not simultaneously. It's not done simultaneously. People are reading different things. Maybe
Okay.
so they don't hear. So again, give the instruction and check. But you said one more thing, if I may just add one more thing to this. People are asking what do I do not well? How can I check? And this is an excellent question you can ask yourself. You can check. You can say, you can observe yourself, and I'm saying this just in general, not to you, Paul.
No, that's fine.
Personally, but when teachers are asking, what do I do wrong? What to do better? How to do it? Tell me. No, you need to tell yourself. You need to observe. Remember, students are on task. You are thinking. You are thinking what happened, what you've done well, what was it efficient, was it effective, what to change in your next step. So you are the one who can say.
Okay, thanks, Ella. That's fantastic. Thank you. We've run out of time. We've run over a tiny bit, so we're going to have to leave it there. But thank you ever so much. Thank you, Ella. Thank you to everyone for coming along and for engaging and taking part. Fantastic. And hopefully we can get you back for another webinar another time, Ella. It would be great. I would really like that. Thank you. Okay, thanks everyone. And we will see you hopefully in about 14 minutes for our next session. Joe, I think you need to end the session for participants because I can't.